Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see here on our channel or our website. Reach out to me directly at tmosso at thewatchbox.com. And today we're discussing a 2019 limited edition of 300 pieces from Blancpain. This is the Blancpain 50 Fathoms Nageurs de Combat, a timepiece dedicated to the original French military combat swimmers who inspired the 1953 50 Fathoms, which was not just the first of the 50 Fathoms line, but the first modern format dive watch, having beaten the Rolex Submariner market by a few months. Now, this Rolex beater is of a rather different disposition than today's Submariner, considerably richer and larger. 45 millimeters in diameter, the watch is 15.6 millimeters thick, 50.6 millimeters from lug to lug, and 23 millimeters between the lugs. Throwing it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. The secret to this watch's fit is the set of short, stubby lugs, which, in addition to being fairly narrow across the wrist for a 45 millimeter watch, are relatively tight and tucked, so they wrap down and around the edge of the wrist rather than appearing to flare out. I would recommend it for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference, though I think 15 centimeters or larger is necessary for a handsome proportion. The watch is comfortable, and a big reason for that, we'll take a look at the hardware and the software, is a sailcloth strap. And while sailcloth is nearly indestructible, it's not known for its souplesse. That is provided by a vulcanized rubber coating on the underside that separates the coarse material from your skin, thus superb comfort. You'll also note that there is a matching satin finished steel pin buckle for quick on-the-fly swaps, and note that Blancpain uses a hex key to fix the bar that secures the strap to the case. Hex keys and bars much more secure than spring bars. A bit more expensive, yes, but it's what you expect on a large, heavy, and expensive watch. Here's where this watch has it all over the standard 5015. Vertical satin finish for a more muted case band. The standard watch, also in stainless steel, is all of high polish, and that doesn't suit the taste of all tool watch aficionados. Of course, it is still the distinctive Blancpain case with the sharp break between lug and case flank, something you will not see on, for example, a Rolex. Now, you'll note the edge of the bezel lip is also in satin finish, and as has been the fashion since 2003 on the 50 Fathoms, there is a cambered sapphire over the bezel itself, meaning there's a lovely three-dimensional dewdrop-like appearance, and the entire bezel can be painted with lume because thanks to the sapphire cap, the lume cannot be scratched off by abrasion. Let's hear the bezel. It's a sharp 120 click bezel. Line it up with the minute hand, and now you have an impromptu 0 to 60 minute count-up timer. I prefer it to a chronograph. It's simply easier to read. The dial changes quite a bit on this version of the 50 Fathoms. Rather than the applique indices and numerals we have on the standard watch, we have an all-printed dial that's designed to evoke the 1950s. The same can be said of the hands. They are spare and basic and evocative of the original watch. There's also less printing. You have Blancpain 50 Fathoms, and if you look very carefully, there's a gloss lacquered number 7 on the dial, and that represents the original notice to the swimmers that 7 meters was the greatest depth at which you could use pure oxygen. They were early and pioneering tactical warfare types, and they needed to be reminded of the limits of their equipment. Now, if you look carefully, you will be reminded of the date, as there is a date window between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock. It has a quick set, and there is a large crown with deep knurling that's a pleasure to grip. You can see it sits inside rather spare shouldered crown guards. When you screw it out and the watch is 300 meters water resistant, you can pull the crown all the way to activate hacking seconds, or you can pull the crown to the intermediate position to activate the quick set date. Now, the watch being 300 meters water resistant is a true ISO 6425 standard diver. What makes this one different from the conventional model is that it has a different caseback with the warfare qualification pin of the Nageurs de Combat, and then of course individual numbering out of the series of 300. Inside, a soft iron cage, Milgauss style, to provide anti-magnetic protection to the Blancpain exclusive caliber 1315, ultra haute de gamme finish, including mirrored bevels, Côte de Genève, or I should say in this case not Côte de Genève, but a sort of satin spiral fashion over the bridges. Black polished screws. You have engine turning on the base plate, satination on all of the wheels. It is a free sprung balance for shock resistance, and it beats away at a modern 28,800 vibrations per hour. 35 joules and 6 position adjustment, one more than a standard chronometer. It is impressively accurate, and these have a good record of running plus 1 second per day. Moreover, with 3 mainspring barrels, this automatic winding movement has a 120-hour or 5-day power reserve, so the tech and spec is impressive. This is a timepiece that is an absolute pleasure to wear, to describe, and to own. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com with your purchase and pricing questions for the Nageurs de Combat. And we're back with the distinctive dial of the Nageurs de Combat. Note the fully loomed bezel.